Chances are you've had a run-in with an internet troll. You may even be one. But have you ever asked yourself, why is a troll a troll? In this episode, I'll be breaking down the driving force behind the psychology of a troll. Welcome to another episode of Leadership and Lifestyle Coaching with Ryan David. I'm Ryan David. And today I'm talking internet trolls and, psychologically speaking, why they do what they do. There are explanations out there as to why and how certain environments are more conducive for trolling than others, but there has to be some sort of explanation as to why psychologically what would drive them and why they would act out this behavior regardless of the environment. On that note, I will say that these same environments that are favorable for trolling also may be appealing to other individuals who suffer from more complex psychopathology, such as antisocial personality disorder, aka psychopaths. But psychopaths are on the far end of the spectrum, and although yes, some psychopaths may be trolls, not all trolls are psychopaths. And I want to point out that there are multiple different types of trolls out there, and actually not all bad. Some get in and shake things up to try and stir up conversations, to help put things in a different direction, put a spin on things, or open up a can of worms that really needs to be opened. So not all trolls are bad, so I'm kind of talking generally speaking about the behavior that would drive anybody to act out in this trolling manner, if you will. So what I'm talking about today is the day-to-day trolls, the majority of the trolls that we interact with on a day-to-day basis that aren't necessarily psychopathic. First, I think the obvious statement is that trolls troll for attention. I think we all know that. But I want to elaborate on that a little deeper and break down that need for attention specifically. Attention can be motivated by two primary human needs. It can be motivated by the need for significance. Look at me, I matter. That's a scream for significance. Or the need for connection. Connect with me so I feel involved. So significance is more about look at me, I matter as an individual. Connection is more about connect with me so I feel involved and a part of something bigger and something else besides just myself. Now, in a previous episode, I'll link it here, I talked about the psychology of a hater. And in that episode, what I talked about was, spoiler alert, I talked about the relationship between this need and this drive to fulfill the need for significance is really what primarily motivates somebody who's hating on another individual. And I break that down and go into depth in a lot of detail about the psychology of a hater, and it's worth a watch. One of my most popular videos and one of my first videos as well. But I talk about how the drive behind somebody's behavior when they're hating on somebody else really is a sense of insignificance. So I talked about that human need and how it's related to hating and that drive and that behavior. Here, what we're talking about is another one of these needs. Let me back up a minute and cover these 6 human needs real briefly so we understand what we're talking about. When I'm talking about the 6 human needs, I'm talking about a concept that I learned from Tony Robbins, and really something he really pioneered and really brought into this field of coaching and helping other individuals in terms of breaking through and understanding their own personal development. So the 6 human needs really quickly are certainty and uncertainty, significance, love and connection, and then the last 2 are growth and contribution. The first 4 are the needs of the personality. Certainty and uncertainty, significance and connection. Those first 4 needs are needs that every individual has, and we seek out to meet those needs in some way, shape, or form. We may do something positive to meet that need, something negative to meet that need, or something neutral. But we all have them, and we all seek out to meet those needs in different ways. What I'm talking about significantly are these 2 specific needs, the need for significance and the need for connection. Here on this video, specifically talking about the need for connection. When talking about the need for significance, that applies more to the video that I did on haters. It applies to a lot of areas of our lives, but definitely with that video, I focused on that specific human need, significance. Here, the human need for connection. It's one of the 6. Those are the 6. That's the one I'm focusing on. So that's a brief background in terms of human needs psychology, and it's very, very enlightening when we start to understand the driving forces behind why we do what we do universally. Now again, we meet our needs in different ways. Each individual is different. Each person is different in terms of how we meet those needs, but those needs are very, very powerful. And I want to take and really make the connection between trolling and a troll and what drives their behavior and this specific human need, and absolutely how they're doing or attempting to meet what they're doing and how they are attempting to meet that human need. We're talking about the drive for us to satisfy this need for connection, to connect and feel involved with other individuals. Now, trolling is unique once again in that it may satisfy both of those needs, the need for significance and the need for connection. But regardless of what kind of troll it is or what their intentions are, the driving force behind all trolls when they're trolling is the same, and that is the need for connection. That is the primary, number one, biggest driving force behind their behavior and why they do what they do in terms of trolling. So as much as it may look like trolls want attention primarily to feel significant and make it all about them, really what's strongest is that need for connection, and that's why they reach out and try to antagonize others to interact with them so they feel a sense of connection. Now this drive is stronger for some trolls than others. Some trolls are just looking for a response, others are looking for a heated interaction or back and forth in terms of a connection with other individuals, and that may be what drives them. So again, there's a level to what drives an individual, or I should say the intensity can be different, but the need or the drive is there, it's universal. So if being a hater is driven by a lack of significance, then being a troll is driven by lack of connection. Now you might be saying to yourself, hold on a second, Ryan, I get the old connection thing, but in terms of trolls, the only attention they ever get is negative attention. Why would anybody ever want that? Let me share a lesson with you that I learned a long time ago in the school system. There's no such thing as negative attention for somebody who gets no attention. One more time. I'm gonna say this so you can remember it for the rest of your life when it comes to why somebody's doing something that's resulting in negative attention for them. There's no such thing as bad attention for someone who gets no attention. Let that sink in. Negative attention is better than no attention for someone who doesn't get positive attention. Remember, it has to do with filling this need, filling this void, satisfying this human need we have to connect. I don't care if we connect in a good way or a bad way. We've got to connect. I've got to connect. I want to feel a part of something. I want to feel involved. If I can't do it and I'm not welcome in a positive way, well, let me make it happen in a negative way. That's how strong these needs are. So remember that rule, if you will, whenever you're dealing with people for the rest of your life and you ever ask yourself, why would anybody ever do that? One of the reasons may be because they're trying to fill that need for attention. We'll do whatever it takes to fill these needs, good, bad, or otherwise. So back to trolling, now it should be a little easier for you to see and understand why maybe a troll or an individual will do what they do and go to the extremes that they go to and say and post the things that they do just in an attempt to get a connection from other individuals, possibly and often a lot of other individuals. And so now you can probably also understand that part of the art or the essence of trolling is pushing people's buttons to get them to push back, to cause them to connect with you. So the quicker or the more I can hit that nerve and strike a chord with you, and you fall into an impulsive, emotional, back and forth response, then the more you're feeding my need for connection. And ultimately what that ends up doing is fueling the troll even more because you're reinforcing their behavior by meeting their need and you don't even realize that that's what you're doing. So this makes the best thing to do with trolls the most difficult thing to do, which is don't even acknowledge their existence, let alone respond to them, aka don't feed the trolls. However, that's a lot easier said than done. Now I'll be doing a future episode very soon on how to deal with trolls, where I have some fun with some alternative ways to interact or respond with them in a way that doesn't necessarily cause you a lot of strife or agony or negativity and possibly runs them off or maybe even switches some things for them and gets them to realize their own behavior. Not the goal, but just gonna have some fun with that and talk about some alternative ways of interacting with them, because let's face it, like I said, not acknowledging them at all and pretending like they don't exist can be difficult, especially when they plug right into your comments or they're there and you're looking at it and you think everybody else sees it too. I gotta say something. It's difficult sometimes. I mean, let's face it, saying don't think about a negative comment that's on your picture or underneath your post or in your comment section, saying don't think about that is really the equivalent of don't think about pink elephants. Right now, don't think about a pink elephant. Don't think about one. In order not to think about one, you've got to think about one. So you've got to think about what not to think about, and it contradicts itself. And we have this circle that we get caught into. When we tell ourselves not to do something, we have to tell ourselves what not to do. So that doesn't work, just not thinking about something. What we've got to do is we've got to replace that thought. We've got to have an alternative. So it's important for you to have a toolbox when dealing with trolls or when you're in these situations. And that's what I'm trying to empower you with, are some tools to put in your toolbox when you find yourself in these situations. The knowledge, the power, the amateur psychology, if you will, that you can apply to your situations that will really help you address and deal with these scenarios if you find yourself in them. So in closing, the key is you first have to be consciously aware of and pay attention to to when you're being trolled. And at that moment, you need to think about and remember these tips and understand the psychology behind what's driving and motivating their behavior before you fall into the trap and you react or you respond. And when you recognize why someone's doing what they're doing, or you see, okay, this is just for this reason, I know why they're doing that, it's so that I fall into that trap, then you can think about what your response is going to be and if you're going to respond at all. So understanding the situation really empowers you and can help you decide how it would be best to react or respond, or at least you'll know ahead of time before you choose to do so. So with that, now that I've psychoanalyzed all you trolls out there and your feathers are all ruffled up, feel free to drop your comments down below, because I love you guys too. For the rest of you non-trolls, if you enjoyed this content, give me a thumbs up, drop your comments down below as well. I'd love to hear what your feedback is. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please consider subscribing. Until the next episode, remember, every day is an opportunity. I'll see you soon. Take care.